It's almost like the best things of humanity disappear, are kind of, sort of sucked out of your life almost. Wouldn't that be the case?
That's exactly what happens. And normally what you would do is first you would do the test for truth, and you find out whether someone's telling the truth or not. Then, once you've determined that someone got something wrong, then you might say, well, why did they make that mistake? Were they biased? Were they engaged in motivated reasoning? Were they blinded by their own limitations? Did they have a hidden agenda? You can ask those kinds of things once you know that somebody's wrong. But first you have to figure out that they're wrong. You can't just say, well, I think you have a hidden agenda, therefore you're wrong. And it turns out that the person's right. Like, that doesn't work. That's not a good idea. You shouldn't be determined. You can't determine whether what somebody said is true or false based on whether or not you think they have a hidden agenda. Because the question just turns back around. Well, you say they have a hidden agenda. Is that true? Because all of their claims are truth claims. Well, it's for the benefit of white heterosexual men. Is it true that it's for the benefit of white heterosexual men? Who decided that was true? Whose interest does it serve to believe that that's true? And who benefits? We can turn it right around. We can look right at the critical theorist and say, hey, look, Mr. Critical Theorist, you sold quite a lot of books about critical theory. And you got tenure at a major university teaching critical theory. And you'll have a job forever teaching critical theory. Maybe we should do a Marxist analysis of your economic interests and discern whose interests are served by your books and who benefits from them. And we can figure that out by analyzing your bank account and how much money you get paid selling your books on critical theory. See how easy that is? We can turn it right back around on them. Because the point is here that interests are not the whole show. And when you make interests the whole show, the whole foundation that you have to make your own judgments is now on sand. Because then, of course, hey, critical theorists, what are your interests? Well, I just care about justice. Wow, that sounds like that's exactly what somebody who's trying to take power would say. Wow, let's analyze whether or not you'd like to take power. Would you like to be in charge? Are you trying to vote for anybody? Are you trying to get elected? Who benefits from your getting elected? You see how that works? This dissolves everything it touches because it gets rid of truth and replaces it with an analysis of interests. And they do their analysis of what they want based on interests, not on truth, and that's the problem.
Well, and with the unspoken idea being that, our way of viewing the world is the just one. That's kind of, isn't that the unspoken,
Yeah, we might want to ask them where they got their definition of justice, who formed their definition of justice, what amounts of bias were brought into that definition of justice, whose interests did that definition of justice serve, and who benefits. Because I seem to remember there were quite a lot of communist dictatorships who really claimed to be on the side of the poor and the oppressed and turned out not to be.
well, in fact, every time, actually.
Yeah, in fact, we
Right.
could look at, like, I don't know, the Cultural Revolution in China, Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, the Soviet Union in Russia, and we might want to ask, all of those people claim to be on the side of justice too. Every one of those people claimed to be on the side of the oppressed, and what did they do once they got into power? So we might come to the conclusion that maybe, just maybe, they had their own interests. Maybe, if we wanted to be a critical theorist about it, I'm going to put on my critical theory hat and say, oh, you want justice for the oppressed, eh? And who's going to dole out that justice? Oh, you are. Oh, and what are you going to need to dole out? Oh, you need power to dole out that justice. Oh, so you'd like us to give you power? Interesting. Because in order for them to dole out their justice, what do they need to do that? Well, they need power. Well, it sounds like they're just angling for power too.
You're
And if
also you're also explaining here, I'm sorry to cut in, but why, frankly, I've always wondered why this whole concept of projection, is so sort of central to people that ascribe to this ideology, because they probably truly imagine that every person thinks like them, right?
Yeah, now I'm not a psychologist, so I can't speak too much to that, but there is something odd about the fact that these people constantly are going on and on about who has power, who gets to have power, how they get to use power, and then they say, well, you guys are just after power. I'm sorry, but you guys are the one obsessing about it. Perhaps that's because that's what you're after. And since a lot of these people are in the humanities, and since folks like everyone from Lacan to Deleuze to Freud was talking about psychoanalysis, if they deny it, we can just use the psychoanalysis and say, well, I know denial when I see it. Right? Well, it's well, by denying it you confirm it. Why? Well, because saying that you aren't interested in power is exactly what someone who's interested in power would say. Oh, I see what you're up to. Right? You can see how the cynicism works. It creeps into absolutely everything and creates this sort of Kafka trap where everything that you say is used as proof of the fact that you're guilty, that you're wrong, that what you're saying isn't legitimate. So,
Well, and the only thing that is legitimate is, the validation of the theory, presumably, or the acceptance of the theory, the acceptance of the ideology. Again, this sort of helps sort of elucidate why it seems to work that way.
yeah. Well, because they start from the premise that they are just and correct, anyone who comes along and says, no, you're wrong, that's an expression of power, as Alison Bailey said. So when you tell them, you critical theorists are actually wrong about this, to them, that is merely an expression of power. So you can't legitimately push back on it, because the fact that you're pushing back against them is evidence that you're just trying to maintain your power. There's no way out of it. You can't escape from it. I'll give you an example of that. I was hanging out with a guy one time who wanted to hang out with a girl. So he says to her, hey, you want to grab dinner? And she says, look, I know you're just wanting to sleep with me. And he goes, no, oh, sorry. I would never do that. That's not my intention. There's a group of us going bowling. Would you like to come to that instead? She goes, no, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to sleep with me. And he goes, okay, we don't need to hang out. We don't need to do that. I'm sorry. I'll see you at church next week. Oh, you're going to come to church next week? Well, I know why that is. You just want to sleep with me. So finally he said, look, we don't need to hang out. I'm sorry for bothering you. We just won't hang out anymore. I didn't mean to do that. She goes, oh, you're not hanging out with me? So now you're ditching me because I won't sleep with you? There's nothing he can say. She's already decided that everything that he's doing is because he wants to sleep with her. And then he says, okay, well, then we just won't talk. I'll just leave you alone. She goes, now you're ditching me because you won't sleep. There's no way around it. There's nothing he can do. There's no logic. There's no argument to it. You've already decided that you're correct. And because you've decided that your view is untouchable and can't be falsified, no matter what I say, you're just going to analyze it through the lens of, oh, he's trying to take power away from me. There's nothing that can be done. And so what this looks like on the ground is anytime you say anything, they have a ready-made set of concepts and ideas that are meant to delegitimize what you say. So when they say, America is racist, and you say, well, I don't think America certainly has racism in it. And there were lots of laws that were racist throughout American history. But I don't think that the idea of the American Constitution is itself racist. They say, well, you have white privilege. That's why you're saying that. You just don't want to acknowledge that it's racist because it benefits you. Well, what do you say to that? You can't respond to it. And then you say, no, I've got good reasons for saying that. Here's my rational argument. They say, well, what you describe as rationality is really rationality that white people invented for the benefit of white people, so it's racist. Okay, well, here's my evidence. Your evidence was cherry-picked by white people to benefit white people and maintain white power, so it doesn't count. So then you get upset and you say, look, this isn't very fair. Oh, well, now you have white fragility. Your white fragility is showing that's why you're upset, and that's evidence that you're a racist. So then you get up and you leave, and they say, okay, these are white tears. You're crying white tears because of your white fragility. And you have white privilege. And there's nothing that you can do about this. You literally, it's not that I say like I can't argue with that, and I'd be like, no, like literally I can't.